Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Seeking Heaven channel. I'm your host, Tamara Caulder Richardson, a six-time near-death experiencer, UFO experiencer, ET contactee, as well as a conscious channeler. I'm glad to see you here. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'd love for you to return and to also get the latest updates on episodes that come out. Real quick, have a couple announcements, and then we're going to dive right into our very exciting guest. So, first thing is, if you haven't signed up for my Academy of Divine Wisdom, please do so. There's free classes there, paid classes. I have events. I have guest teachers as well. It's really a lot of fun, and you can do this from the comfort of your home, taking these classes and watching the replay over and over. As well as I do have star seed sessions like code activations, past life and soul discovery, earth mission channeling, angelic transmissions and coding, galactic star seed channeling, and spiritual mentorship and coaching. And of course, as always, I always offer evidential life path, evidential psychic mediums, and Akashic life path readings. And always check out my store. Don't forget that. I got a lot of cool star seed custom design images there that you can have on various merchandise of your choice. And I'm just glad you're here. So I want to talk about my guest today. I'm excited about several things. Number one, I've heard about Susan Shumsky for some time, but I haven't met her. And the more I get to know her, the more I'm thinking, why haven't I met this woman? She's like one of the coolest people. If you could look at her bio, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, she's like a world traveler. She's an entrepreneur. She's an author. She's done so many things. Her books alone that she's written, I don't know where she finds the time. And I want to tell you a little bit about her before I bring her on. And Susan has written, she has, and I want to make sure I say this correctly. She is a best-selling author of 20 books in English, but she's got 40 in foreign languages, foreign editions, that would be. And she's won 46 prestigious awards for her books. And she's also a pioneer in human potential, as well as she's an expert. If you want to, I don't know, people don't like being called an expert, but I would say at this point, looking at everything she's done, she is in meditation, as well as prayer, affirmation, intuition. And the biggest thing she's done a lot. And we're going to show some of the books here in just a minute. But the biggest thing that I'm excited about, and I'm going to bring Susan on, is that I get to be with her for 7 days, and you can too, on the Galactic Origins Cruise, which is co-hosted by her and Portal to Ascension, Gaur. And we're going to talk about that some today too. So thanks for being on the Seeking Heaven channel.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here today with you, Tamara.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we've got a lot we're going to cover. And what I like to do on my channel, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull up your information down below. There you go. But what I like to do is to really find out about people's spiritual journey. We're going to be talking about the Galactic Origins Cruise. We're going to be talking about your spiritual journey. And my goodness, how you've written all these books. I do want, before we get into your spiritual journey, I do want to give people an opportunity to sign up for the Galactic Origins Cruise.com. And there is also, I will put in the link where you can actually register, pick your room out, if you're going to have a roommate or not. I mean, it's all there. You don't even have to, you have the link. People will reach out if you do need help or you have questions. And then I'll be there. I'll be speaking. I'm a speaker there, and I'll be speaking about At Sea with Sirius B, which I recall my last planet was a white light Sirian. But I've had a lot of life since Sirius B. I can talk a lot about it. I'm going to be showing a lot of images. And so we're going to be talking about that later and have a lot of fun. But maybe before we start, tell me how a little teaser, how this Galactic Origins Cruise, how that came about with Neil, and then we're going to go into your spiritual journey.
Yeah, well, Neil, I've known Neil for a long time because he's an event producer and he's done so many things in the spiritual field and so many famous gatherings, get-togethers. And I've always wanted to do a cruise with him because I've done tons of cruises. I've produced over 20 cruises, holistic themed cruises, So I thought that Neil and I would be a perfect match for doing something together. And my good friend from the UK, Vitaly, he's got us together. And we decided we would just do this fantastic cruise to the Maya Riviera, where we're going to be visiting all these sacred sites. And we have invited grandmother Elizabeth Araujo to join us, and she'll be doing a authentic fire ceremony at one of the ports that we'll be visiting. And we have other wonderful things planned in store for the various ports that we'll be stopping at. And we're going on a fabulous cruise ship, the Celebrity Eclipse. Celebrity is a great cruise line. They have fantastic food, beautiful ships, great entertainment. It's just going to be tons of fun. And tomorrow we'll be there.
Yes, I am going to be there. And it's, I have people that I've been talking to, like yourself, all over the world. And I'm really excited to be able to hug them if they'll let me. I mean, because I'm from the South, we love hugging people. We love doing two things. We love hugging them and feeding them. And on a cruise ship, you get, there's food 24 hours, whatever you need. And the most important thing is we're going to be together. And we're going to be surrounded. We're going to be away from the cities, away from all the chaos, in the middle of the ocean, just enjoying our energy. And really, I'm hoping that we come together. I mean, my intention is that every speaker there ignites someone there. We are all going to speak collectively and raise. We're just going to be like, bam, we're going to have this white light just going straight up to the stars and the heavens. But that we all ignite someone, but that we come together in a harmonious way, that we can create positive change, because all of us, and I mean, I know that by saying you, but people that I know, Neil and Neil Gaur with Portal to Ascension, and I know myself, and I know others like me. I mean, I work around the clock. I mean, which is really not good if you're married. But I literally breathe and eat. If I'm not working, I'm reading someone's things. I'm always, looking at, Gaia. And this is not a hobby. This is something that all of us, that we're very serious about this ascension, and we're going to do it on the ship, and we're going to have some giggles. So I have the registering below, and then this is my plug for that, so we can get into your part of it for a while. And again, if you use my name, you get a free 30-minute reading, because that's just how nice I like to give back. So if you want to do that, that's great. All right, so let me put you back on here with your name, and register for the cruise. You can always go to Galactic Origins Cruise.com. I don't know why I'm having a problem with that word today. And to see more information, and we're going to be talking about that more, and where we're going to be going, and why those areas are sacred that we're going. So, Susan, where do I start with you? I mean, first of all, how did the book start? How about that? That's a good one, because there's a lot of books.
Well, I had spent a couple decades with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who was the guru of the Beatles, in case you don't really know much about him. So I spent a couple of decades with him, and I was on his personal staff for 6 years. And I was very dedicated to my practice, my spiritual practices, and obviously living with him and being out of the country. I was in Europe during that entire time that I was on his staff. And I really was into transcendental meditation. That's the meditation practice that he founded. And I always had wonderful experiences with TM. It was nothing but totally positive experience. And then I actually found out about another meditation practice that I liked better. So I started practicing that, and I started teaching that. And I found that if I wanted to be taken seriously, I would have to write a book. So I decided to write my first book, which was called Divine Revelation. And that got picked up by Simon and Schuster,
Mhm.
a first-time unknown spiritual author who really
Yes.
knows nothing about writing and went to art school and studied art. Yeah, sure, yeah, I get published by Simon and Schuster. I don't think not so much, but yeah, I did. And so that was one of my main miracles that I have had so many miracles. In fact, I even wrote a book called Miracle Prayer. But the thing is that uh, once I started teaching this other method and I had a book, then my publisher wanted me to write more books. So I started writing books and I never stopped. I wrote 20 books, and one of them is my memoir, which is called Maharishi and Me, Seeking Enlightenment with the
Oh,
Beatles Guru. And
uh-huh.
that book won 13 book awards in
That
itself.
one.
That's the one. And then, I'd written about the Beatles in that book. There was a couple chapters about them in that book. But I really wanted to tell the whole story, the real story of what happened to the Beatles in India that people don't know. People just don't know this story. So I wrote another book called The Inner Light, How India Influenced the Beatles.
Wow.
And that one, I just love this book. It's, oh my gosh, every chapter is a song,
Yeah.
and I explain the meanings, the esoteric meanings of the songs and the lyrics. And the book has 170 very rare photographs and 130 QR codes that point to various other content like videos, audios, lyrics. So it's quite a study. It's over 500 pages.
Are you serious? I can't
Serious.
wait to get
And
this
it
book.
goes into great depth about each one of the songs that's influenced in any way by the Far East. Um, and it goes into depth about the musicians, the musical instruments, the Indian musical instruments that were used. And I interviewed a lot of the musicians, and it's a fabulous, I love this book. It's so cool.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if there's anything like it. It's crazy
There
because
isn't.
always wanted to know what really happened there and the
Right.
stories, and I never knew. I mean, I apologize. I mean, like now I know. I mean, I'm going to be all over your written materials, but I'm going to get this. I have such a. It's really. I know I'm not the only one, but I didn't dislike them. I liked them fine when I was a little kid, but they started coming through. I said to you and readings, they've done that with other mediums I know. And I think the reason being is I think they're ascended. They who is the guy? David. I can't think of his David. I can't think of his last name right now, but there's a guy that's written several books, but he's come through to there's a lady in England, they've come through and I
Oh, David Young. Mhm.
yeah, David Young. I'm friends with David and I apologize, David. I'm sorry about that.
He was on one of my cruises. That's how I know him.
Oh, okay, I know David. Lord, I know David. He's a trip. Yes, the flutist. I know David very well. And so, but yeah, he came over to me at an INS International Association Near Death Studies conference, and I was helping in the bookstore, and I was doing readings, and I was doing different stuff, interviews. Anyway, but I was in the bookstore helping at that moment, and I was kind of floating around, and I was helping, and he comes over to me the first time I met David Young and said I didn't know he had a table on the Beatles, but it's so exciting because now I know another one I can read. But he said, "Oh, they've come through to him and the artwork and different things." And and he said they talked to you too. I went, "How do you know that?" And he goes, "How do you think I know that?" I'm like, "Does Mother Mary show up?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm not even Catholic. Like we didn't even really talk about her as a Protestant, but she shows up. He goes, "Well, I'm Jewish," and I'm like. I said, well, they show up, but they like showing up to people. Do they? I know that you are also an intuitive like myself. Do they show up to you as well and say, yeah, this isn't right exactly? Or did they help you with the book?
I've never called upon the Beatles and asked them to come through me. I'm sure they would if I did.
Oh, in a
Uh,
minute.
yeah, I'm into connecting with divine beings of light and ascended masters, mainly Babaji, Jesus, Holy Spirit, um, Saint Germain, Mother Mary. So
Mm-hmm.
whoever I call upon, they always
Yeah,
come. So
exactly.
I've
That,
never called on the Beatles because I don't know.
well, it's
I'm into the ascended masters. That's who I want to communicate with.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I didn't really call on them. They just started showing up, but they
Right.
show up with George shows up with Jesus. I think
Yeah.
that they were brothers in another life. George is really quiet, and Jesus
Oh,
is really charming and charismatic to when I'd see them.
yeah.
So I think there's like a brotherly relationship going on there. That's the
He
best.
has a very strong connection to Jesus.
Yeah, there's something
And My Sweet Lord, is about Jesus and Krishna, you know?
right. Both. Yeah, absolutely. People argue about that, and I do think it's both.
Oh, it's definitely both.
And I think, don't you think they're revolutionary in their for their time? Because, and I'll move the book now, and there's the other one as well. I want to talk about your other books. Oh, excuse me, but to be able to, during a time in which they lived, the things they were talking about or singing about, I think they were definitely trendsetters. They're way
Oh,
ahead of
for sure.
the time. Hmm.
They changed Western civilization, basically, because they introduced Eastern philosophy to the West. And
Yes.
they were responsible for that. And through my guru, also Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, he trained 40,000 meditation teachers in his lifetime, and those teachers taught 6 million people to meditate during his lifetime. So he contributed so much to bringing Western philosophy, bringing Eastern philosophy to the West. And the
You
Beatles helped him, with a little help from his friends, the Beatles.
I love it. You're absolutely right. Well, I could talk about the Beatles, just a whole episode on the Beatles. I find them fascinating. I just think that they were vessels from the divine, like you said,
Definitely.
the masters, to be able to. That's why their music still sticks. It's
Yeah.
because it was coming from the higher realms. Well, tell us about these other books. I've got different ones that you've written, and lately you have a bestseller with Instant Healing.
Yeah, Instant Healing is one of my most popular books. It's really a book that is filled with affirmations, prayers, mantras. It's a way to instantly transform your way of thinking. And by instantly transforming your mind, you instantly transform your life.
Hmm.
So it's these are very, very powerful methods that are in this book. I think there's about 250 different healing affirmations or prayers, and they're very, very powerful. And that's the reason why it's my most read, most beloved book. It's got the most reviews on Amazon because people just adore this book, and it's been translated into many languages.
Well, and it puts the power back into the people to connect, to
Absolutely, yeah, that's a really good point, Tamara,
mhm.
because we do have the power to change our consciousness and therefore to change our life in any moment because we're creating our own destiny moment by moment through every thought, every word, and every deed.
Mhm.
And we are definitely responsible and in charge of our destiny.
Yes.
And just by saying a few words in a powerful manner with conviction, we can definitely change any situation into a different one. We have the power
Yes.
to do that.
Absolutely. In one of my near-death experiences, I was in a coma 3 days. I was dead for 2 hours, and then they saw life in my lungs. And then I was in an induced coma, and I spent it with Christ. And he told me, he didn't use the word manifest because, mind you, I was 5 years old, so I wouldn't have known what that is, but that's what it was. And he talked about manifestation. And he said, we create with our words and to be mindful about what we say, that it's always positive because every second we are creating through the words that come out of our mouth. And he said that it's done very quick where he is in the realms that he is, but here it takes much longer. So we have to stay in this mindset of not have conflict with that. And I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, that's more true than ever. But, I didn't ask I didn't know what to really ask over there. I was like, I didn't really have a big vocabulary at 5, but he taught me, quite a few simple things that are really important now. So tell me about your other books. You do a lot with chakras and auras.
Well, I have a book called The Big Book of Chakras and Chakra Healing. And that particular book is, um, well, what can I say? It's an encyclopedia of the chakras. This one you have up here is the Color Your Chakras, which is a coloring book. That is
Oh,
a
sorry.
great book. It's a great book. Um, it's so fun. And it isn't just a coloring book, there's information about each one of the images. So it's like an introduction to the chakras as well as coloring book. So it's really great. And it's
Oh,
also, they have it in Spanish as well, Spanish edition.
oh, that's great.
So I love this book. It's great.
Is this
And
adult only, or could us because a
well,
elementary?
anyone can color, but it does have information in it as well. So it's really an adult coloring book
Okay,
mainly.
because
Um,
I'm thinking that that might be an early way for an adult to sit down and also color together and explain to children, because children
oh,
don't know
that's a great idea. That is a great
together as
idea.
they guide them, to explain, because they would need an explanation. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, that's something you can do with your child or do alone. There you go, right there. And then also you've got auras as well, the power of auras. And these are
Yeah,
just a few of your books. I mean, there's so many. I'm just showing a few. It's just I'm so impressed by your wisdom to be able to reflect it to others so they can kind of meditate over the information.
yeah. This book is about auras and about healing auras, about be able to see auras, feel auras, experience auras. It also teaches dowsing. It teaches the various methods of dowsing through using various instruments, the pendulum, the L rod, Y rod, bobber, all that. So it also has a lot of meditations, guided meditations, and different ways, different methods that will help you to open your uh, auric field to increase the energy in your field.
Wow, this is great. I mean, you know what? This is what's so terrific. You've got all these books where people can digest it, but then when you have all these divine travels, which want to find out how that came about, or if somebody asks you to speak wherever, you're like freaking ready. You got a whole collection. You're like, what topic do you want to speak about? And I think that's really terrific. So. Yeah, I'm like, if I could turn all the talks that I did and all the little teachings I've done on this channel into a book, which someone suggested, there it is. But it people. Some people learn by looking at it. They don't learn by listening. They've got
Yeah.
to look at it. People learn different ways, and I think it's important we have visual, that people never pick things up, or audio or written. And it looks like that you've done both. And let's see, you've got another one here
Well, my
as
books are in audio books as well as Kindle and paperback, and some of them are hardcover. So Ascension, oh wow, I love this book, Connecting with the Immortal Masters and Beings of Light. This is mainly stories about ascended masters and immortal beings, not just the usual suspects like Jesus and Saint Germain and Mother Mary and so on, but really unknown people that have attained immortal life, that have experienced their light body and become an ascended master. So, this is people even in America and other places throughout the world. So, stories about all these different ascended masters. And also, part of the book is how you can yourself transform your physical body into a light body, how you can become an ascended being yourself and turn into light, basically.
well. Done that. Bought the T-shirt. No, dude, I'm telling me I was dead for a while, and I was light, and I really like that. But then there's many of us that are here that remember, and the key is remembering that they were light, they were ascended, they had to drop it down to be in this density, and
Yeah.
still to rise up out of this density, which is what you're helping people do with your books, but to rise up above that density to operate at a higher level. But this is our true state. This is our normal state. This is what we
It
need to
is.
aim for. It reminds me a lot of the work with William Henry does about the rainbow light body. So and there's a whole bioluminescence thing that comes within us. I don't know if, I mean, I don't have this area of expertise, but with your meditation and training and Eastern methods and so forth, is there anything that you've seen as a, what would you call, as an after effect with glowing. I've glowed before in film, and I know others have glowed before. Glowing, I think it's when it's a certain state. I know I've heard of floating, but what about glowing?
Yeah, I mean, glowing is just your energy field.
Yeah.
A strong energy field, a strong aura will glow. People who are very charismatic, uh, movie stars, spiritual leaders, you're going to see a glow around them because they have a very strong energy. It's just their energy field, it's their aura that is glowing.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, yeah, I mean, why not glow? If you that's how
Yeah,
you should go. Is you should what I always say.
let's
Well,
grow,
I
let's glow.
yeah, exactly. I'll try to do that at the conference. It's wild. Yeah, here's the thing. I think we put stops on ourselves. We need to just, we need to let some of that go because we're senior to the material universe. There's so many things that are possible, things that I didn't even realize that were possible, but because I think it's important to have that childlike wonder and to get rid of the fear, because most of the time, 99% of the time, the fear is just not even real. uh, and just to experience these higher states. I mean, I've never had a bad experience with higher states, right? I mean,
That's right.
you always say they ain't no high, but the most high, because the only thing is I feel high and dizzy for days, like woo, and then I got to ground heavily. But yeah, I'm like go pet the dog, go swing, put my feet in the grass. I have a favorite tree in the back of the yard, and it's like I don't know, 250, 300 years old, and the roots have taken up. They're so big, they're bulked up, and they're coming out. They're coming through the house. They're just bulked up, and I love to walk on the roots because I feel like I'm having connection with that tree. And then I had a shaman friend of mine. We did a little thing, I don't know, a little like prayer, ritual, gratitude. And we put stones, my favorite crystals, in the middle of the tree. And then I adorned the tree. And now I'm doing, this is what you do when I don't really have a lot of spare time, but this is like my therapy. My mom got me started on this, but I started a fairyland that is now a freaking fairy village is around the entire tree.
So cool.
And,
That's
and now
great.
this fairy energy is like, I mean, it's just seriously, they like that. And the tree, adorned it, and it's like it's a magical place with the roots. When you walk, there's moss around it, and I put a chair swing with the back, so this is what I do to ground.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Well, we need to be a kid, and we get so serious in life because of
Yeah.
deadlines, and we got to do this and we got to do that, and we got to go here and we got to go there, and we got to make sure we call or email these people back. And so it's nice to do something that's really just silly. And then also dirt. I've been working on the garden, and I think those are just really, especially this time of year, fun ways to ground because I don't know about you, but I live in the clouds most of the time, and I like it there. Well, I tell you what, I want to end on this right now. On the Galactic Origins Cruise, I want to tell everybody where they can register. I want to pull that up, and then we're going to do a part two, and we're going to go more into your story and then more into what they can expect from. I mean, actually walk. We're going to walk people through like what to expect when they board the ship, how much fun it's going to be, and I want to put that um, up right now, just real quick, so they don't forget about where to register. Again, use my name. You get 30 minutes free. If you don't want a 30 minutes reading, fine. But I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart. And make sure you register and be a part of this. We're going to have a lot of, I mean, look, everything that I've seen you do, Neil do, total success. This is going to be another success. This is a huge launch. I I have decided when I decide things go real well that this is just the beginning of awesome cruises at another level. But I don't even know what that means, but another level that we're going to take this. Maybe we'll do some CE5 on the boat, connect with our star family. I'd like
Yeah,
to.
on previous cruise.
It did. Well,
Yes.
I want them to
You
come
did.
out of the water so I can just get in the ship and go for a while. And, we could spend 20 years with them, but then they can bring us back to this point. We'd still be the same. So we can, I don't know, anything's possible. I already told my husband, if there is a ship, I'm getting on it. He goes, well, I am too. I said, okay, well then let's do this. I already told my mom. She goes, don't leave me. I said, you'll be fine. So anyhow, everybody sign up and register. Stay tuned for Susan Shumsky and buy her books. Buy her books. Go to Amazon. It's amazing. If you want some enlightenment, it's a great gift. Buy her books. We'll see you in the next segment. We have some surprises for you. Take care. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Tamara.
Bye. Please subscribe, like, and make comments, and support this channel by becoming a member. Thank you for your continued support.